What is up, everybody? It's Kelpsy, and today we are talking about a topic that a lot of people have been arguing about for a long time, and I get asked pretty frequently here on the YouTube and even more so on like the Twitch and in Discord is Elder Scrolls Online pay to win? And it's a hard subject to talk about because of the fact that I'm partial to the game, so it's hard for me to remain impartial to the subject, and as well, I already have like my own opinion on the matter. But I'm going to bring to you guys the big points that are always brought to me and that I bring to the conversation, and we're going to look at both sides of it, of each point, and we're going to see what you guys feel about it. And first, I want to ask everyone to, before we get into the actual questions and points, it's really just which do you think is pay to win? Do you think that it's any real world currency that gives you an advantage at all, or is it any real world currency that gives you an advantage that's locked behind that currency? Like if it's, oh, I paid for the DLC, therefore I get this, or is it, oh, I bought this specific sword from the store and this sword makes me do more damage? Or is it, oh, I was able to, I don't know, spend money to level up faster? Like, it all depends how you view it. So I just want you guys to think about that before we get into it. But that being said, let's get into the first and, to me, one of the biggest points that there is, and it's the subscription. The subscription has a lot of multiple points to it, but I'd like to point out first and foremost and heavily, and it's the fact that the subscription itself, as you can see, it's 10% increased experience, gold, inspiration, trait research, things like that. And with that, I mean, it's negligible to say the least, but also yeah, training armor is going to give you that 10% extra XP, but it is, at the end of the day, it is an increase in experience gained for real world currency. And this game actually breaks one of my hallmark codes that I have for games. That is, if I have to buy the game, I'm not paying for a subscription. Like things like Mortal Online, you have to buy a full price game and pay for a subscription. Fuck that. Like, although Warcraft, you have to buy those expansions as well. The base game is free, and everything in the base game is free as long as you have the subscription. And that's my difference between Warcraft and Elder Scrolls, is that Warcraft, everything gets added to base game when the new game comes out. So when the War Within drops, everything in Dragonflight is going to be base game. And it's all going to be part of it as long as you have a subscription. Elder Scrolls is not that case. If you buy right now the base game plus Gold Road, you do not have Necrom, and therefore you do not have the Arcanist, you do not have the Warden, you do not have the Necromancer, or any of that. Therefore, all of those to me are technically locked behind a paywall unless you purchase them. And that's why I think that the Elder Scrolls Plus subscription is different than any other game subscription, because of that fact. And on top of that, we have the craft bag. The craft bag is the reason I started having the Elder Scrolls subscription, and it gives you access to an unlimited inventory that allows you to hold an unlimited amount of crafting materials. And that is not the case in your inventory, because in your inventory, things have a stack limit of like 200, 100, things like that. In the craft bag, they don't. I have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of items in my craft bag. I have millions and millions of gold worth of crafting items that I just pick up, and they get thrown into that bag of holding, that endless bag of shit that I have that comes with the Plus subscription. And that's a major portion of why people say it's pay to win, because of the craft bag alone, because there is no way to get the craft bag in the game naturally other than paying for the subscription. And since I don't agree with this being the same subscription as something like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, because both of those base games are completely free and the subscription is afterwards. So I don't agree that that's the same thing. The other things like the experience and stuff like that, I feel like those are negligible. I feel like those aren't that big of a deal. But the craft bag and the fact that the base game isn't free and the old DLCs are not free, and you get the DLC packs and access to them with the Elder Scrolls Plus, is like the plus is not leaning in the version of completely neutral. Now, I'd also like to bring up that, like I said before, the races, there is classes that are locked behind paywalls, like the Warden, you always have to spend 2,000 crowns on. The Necromancer, you have to own Elsewhere. The Arcanist, you have to own Necrom. The Arcanist has been broken, and will be broken. It's literally a class that the devs came out and said, we made this OP and over-designed for the reason of making high-end damage more accessible to new players. So it's always going to be like that. The Warden is one of the best PvP classes and is the best healing class. So good luck trying to argue that that's not a paywall behind a great thing. And, you know, the Necromancer's not in the best spot right now, but it's coming back with U43. And I still think it's not the world's most awful class, but it's still a class locked behind a paywall. And the Imperial race. To me personally, I think I almost always play Imperial because they get 6% skill reduction. They get more gold by, I think it's like 1%, which isn't crazy, but it's still an advantage. And the Imperials also get max health increase and max stamina increase. Like they're one of the best PvP classes, and they are locked behind a paywall. They are the only class with a across the board ability reduce, and again behind a paywall. And any race, any alliance, you have to pay to use your favorite class, to use the best races in different things. Now, I always say in my build videos that there is no meta race and that races don't matter that much. And they don't matter that much. But if we're talking about across the board, does it give you an advantage? Yes. Yes, it does. If you are the best DPS player on Daggerfall, like you are the best, and you are like, I'm the highest DPS Daggerfall has to offer, and you're all only using Daggerfall races, then okay. But the second any race, any alliance gets bought, and somebody brings in a Khajiit Nightblade, you are now losing because they have higher crit. Somebody brings in a Dark Elf, they have higher damage. So, like, yes, in my build videos, I say that races don't matter because build videos are for people that need inspiration on how to do things, and I hate that other build videos are like, if you're not a Khajiit, it won't work. It will always work. But if we're talking about, is there an advantage to having a separate race? Yes. So any race, any alliance is an advantage that cannot be unlocked without a crown investment, which is a real world money investment, which also, mind you, should be unlocked naturally when you finish Cadwell's Gold. That is a huge missed mark on them. Fuck them for that. Cadwell's Gold is a perfect setup for making any race, any alliance, and the fact that they skipped it is fucking bullshit, on par with selling the Vadashran's fucking costume in the Crown Store, not giving it to us when you get the Undying Song title. But either way, I'm not mad about that. But here's the biggest point that I'd like to point out, and this to me is one of the most damning points of the whole argument, and it is, you're allowed to sell crowns. Point done. Like, period. End. You're allowed to sell crowns. Crowns are allowed to be sold for anything you want. The devs have came out and said on numerous occasions that crown selling is completely okay. They have that lock period where you're not allowed to gift things to like brand new accounts, or like you have to, there's like a hurdle you have to jump these days because of that big rigmarole a few years ago when Epic Games gave up free accounts and people were scamming to get crowns and selling them on the marketplace really fast. But like, you can still sell them. And the current going rate of above board sellers is about 1,500 to 2,000 gold per crown on PCNA. There's a pack for typically, unless it's on sale, there's a pack for $40 that gives you 5,500 crowns. That's 8.25 million gold for $40. Even if you're a minimum wage worker, that's a morning worth of work for 8.25 million gold, which would literally take a CP 160 character and give them the advantages to be able to have top end items. You can buy everything with gold. You can buy trifecta runs with gold. You can buy specific armor runs with gold. People sell them in zone all the time during peak hours of like people selling Tarnished Nightmare bow runs for like 100 or 200k, and it's a guaranteed drop because they didn't put it in their sticker book for this exact reason. It's been going on for years. You can farm out a perfect PvP set in almost no time. Now, is it going to be on trait? No, not usually. But like, are you going to have the items? And you're going to be able to start doing like even off trait items that are golded, that are the correct sets, are you're still going to be doing top end damage. You're not going to be doing perfect damage, but you're going to be top end. So yeah, gold to that level that easily for $40 is a pretty big sliding scale. And I'm tired of people saying that just because there's no like spot in the auction house to sell it means it's not pay to win, and that it's not buying gold, because it's not like the WoW token where you can just buy a WoW token and put it in the auction house. And you know what? Fuck you for that, because I'd prefer that. If I could, I paid for my WoW subscription all the way through for years when my parents wouldn't pay for my fucking WoW subscription. I could sweat my tiny little dick off back then and fucking get my WoW subscription without spending real world currency when I didn't have it. And now people want to argue in this game that because you can't do that here, that makes it not pay to win. No, it just means I can't. It just means they're always going to get their investment back. Like, that's all that fucking means. They're going to always have you on the hook. It doesn't matter. And like, that's what I find the most annoying about it. That you can do it, and ZeniMax and the devs have came out and said like you're allowed to sell crowns for gold. There's no problem with that. That's not illegal. You just have to do it with someone that you find to be honest, and that they're not going to fuck you over on it, because it's a blind trade. Like, you literally have to either give gold first or give crowns first. So if you're the seller or the buyer, it's kind of dangerous. But like, how is that? Like, they're using a scare tactic to try to keep us from selling gold. Oh, well, to try to keep us from selling crowns for gold, and they're using a scare tactic like it's the fucking 1980s and it's Dare, and they're trying to like scare us away from selling it, so then they can say like, oh, it's not pay to win, but you can still do it. Join a major trading guild, and I can guarantee you that in their fucking about me description of the guild, it will say join our Discord, and their Discord's going to have a gold to crown lobby, and there's going to be people there that are like accredited with the guild, that are either buyers or sellers just in mass, and they will buy any crown you have, or they will sell you any crown they have, anytime, any day. And I remember I bought furnishings for my house with gold, and I was in my trading guild Discord at like 3 a.m. EST, and I was like, man, no one's gonna be in here. I typed in there and said, hey, is anyone up? I need to buy some stuff. And a guy logged in like 5 minutes later, was like, yeah, what's up? Like, and he was accredited to the guild, and I've been in guilds before where someone quote unquote gets verified, and then they fuck someone over, and then the guild just like steps in and then pays the person that got fucked what they wanted anyways, and they go, hey, sorry, we don't know how that guy squeaked by. So like, it's player ran honesty, but it's allowed in the game, which means that, to wrap things up here, and I'm going to start it out with the question, do you think this equates to pay to win? If you put in money, you can have a bag with infinite inventory for all of your crafting items. You get an XP boost permanently. You can have the best races on any alliance. You can have some of the best classes. And you can have as much gold as you feasibly want. With $100 investment, you could have an infinite crafting bag that holds as many crafting items as you would want. You could have 8.25 million gold. You could have an S tier race and an S tier class, all of which are completely not accessible to anyone that did not spend that money. So that scenario, Does that sound to you like it's pay to win, or does it sound like it's just a bunch of extra stuff that isn't pay to win? It's just pay to have something different. Because I'm not sitting here saying that the only good classes are behind a paywall, or the only good racers behind a paywall, because as you see in the video, I'm playing a sorcerer. Sorcerer is an S tier, phenomenal class. They have a great damage shield that's been broken for a while. They have a heavy attack build that's amazing in solo play. And any class, any race technically does good as well. But like, does the situation I laid out sound like it's pay to win, or does it just sound like it's pay for something different? As always, thank you so much for coming out and checking out the video and staying to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, everything. Let me know. Do you think this is pay to win, or do you think that I'm just looking at it from a different light than you are? And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for checking out. Thanks for coming out.